The Federal Trade Commission today issued a proposal banning non-compete clauses that prevent workers from switching employers or starting a new business. About 1 in 5 Americans, approximately 30 million people, are affected by these policies. The FTC will accept public comments for 60 days before it can finalize the rule. Elizabeth Wilkins, director of the Office of Policy Planning for the FTC, has worked on this proposal and joins me now. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So most people think of non-competes and associate them with high-paying jobs, tech workers, and so on. But what are some of the industries and the jobs that we don't typically associate with non-competes that are impacted by this?
Absolutely. You're totally right. People sort of think of folks in the boardroom who might be impacted by these, but 30 million Americans we think are covered by non-competes. So that's everybody from minimum wage workers, security guards, folks who are flipping burgers, to middle wage workers, journalists, nurses, all kinds of folks are impacted by this.
And about half of all states already have some kind of rules on the books, either limiting their use or outright banning them. So I guess the question is, why is a federal rule necessary right now?
One part is that you just said there are a couple states that fully ban non-competes already, but not all of them do. And one of the really interesting and frankly sort of disturbing pieces of evidence that we have is that in states that ban non-competes, you actually see them in just as many contracts as states that don't. That means workers don't know what their rights are, and workers may be chilled from trying to find another job, getting a better paying job, even when those clauses are unenforceable. So a clear federal rule would go a long way to making sure that people can actually switch jobs, find better pay, and better working conditions.
So if this proposal moves forward, what do you estimate could be the potential impact on worker wages?
Pretty big. Right now, this is a proposal, but we preliminarily find that there could be an increase in wages of $250 to $300 billion for workers who, again, can find better wages and working conditions, and where employers would have to really compete for those workers instead of preventing them from moving.
When you look at where workers are now, especially over the last 2 years, moving through the pandemic, right, we have seen unusually high rates of quitting and also job switching. Numbers from November of 2021 suggest some 4.5 million workers voluntarily left their jobs. Those numbers seem to suggest that non-competes aren't really an issue. They're not an impediment to worker mobility, right? So what kind of immediate impact might this have?
We've seen sort of unprecedented switching in the wake of the pandemic. This is one big shock to the labor market. But we're talking about a long-term effect if we can remove non-competes from these clauses. We are hoping that this is good long-term for the productivity of the economy. When workers can match with the jobs that they are best suited to, that's good for employers also. And again, this means that, as we've seen in this moment, employers will have to compete based on wages and benefits for their workers.
In this market right now, it's a tight job market, right? Workers have a lot of leverage. If you don't want to take a job where there is a non-compete, can't you just not take that job, go find another one?
That's the ideal. Some of the research suggests that workers don't even know that they're signing a contract with a non-compete clause. You know, when you start a job your first day, you get a stack of HR paperwork. You may or may not know what's in it. Some workers are asked to sign a non-compete after they start. So this is a problem even for well-educated employees. They don't know what they're signing and they don't know what they're signing up for until they try and get another job and they find out that they can't.
There are studies that show states that restrict non-competes do see higher wages. There's some competing research too, though. Some suggest that non-competes actually spur job creation in some startups, that they lead firms to want to invest in the people that they hire so that they don't go somewhere else. What do you say to that?
That's totally right. We sort of acknowledge in our proposal that there are some good reasons that employers might want to use non-competes. A couple of things. First of all, employers have alternatives. There's non-disclosure agreements if they're worried about sort of information or trade secrets. There's also trade secret law. There are thousands of lawsuits under trade secret law that are brought every year. And then the other is obviously if workers aren't restricted, employers can say, you know what, I will offer you more. I'll offer you better for you to stay because this investment is worth it.
It is a proposal. There are some suggesting it's very vague and that it could face legal challenges. Do you anticipate that?
We think we have really clear authority here to promulgate this kind of a rule. Congress gave us this authority, and I think actually we feel fairly obligated to make sure that if we have this authority to prevent unfair methods of competition like this in a place that's appropriate, like when there's economy-wide harm, that we should use it.
Elizabeth Wilkins, Director of the Office of Policy Planning from the FTC. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.